whole story of Jesus can be most robustly reconstructed, not from the church fathers in the first 300 years, but from 2,000 years of the science fathers. And I try to write about this in that one chapter. We've dominated the sciences. We have historically dominated the sciences. We have more science fathers than any other group combined. We've won more Nobel Prizes in the sciences than any other group combined. We've dominated this historically. Why would you surrender that now? By the way, this has been true both before Darwin and after Darwin. Our activity after Darwin, I got a part of that chapter to show you who I'm talking about. We've pushed that out to the footnotes. There's about 50 pages of footnotes, but like you said, there's about 270 pages of footnotes that are on the PDF file, because I wanted, if I'm going to mention 950 Christian scientists and the impact they've had on science, I just don't want to say there's 950. I want to show you who I'm talking about.
Hmm.
And so that's all in the footnotes. But I think I even have the dates in which they live are in the footnotes. So we try to be as thorough as we could. Um, Again, writing a popular level book, right? So at some point we got to remember, this is not meant to be, the academic work. It's meant to, I'm trying to throw the ball in a way that people will catch the ball
Hmm.
and then decide to run with it toward the gospel.
Yep.
If they're not doing that, I don't know why we're doing any of this. If we're not helping people to kind of remove the barriers, to have so much confidence that this is true that they'll share it with others. That's another thing we're trying to do with apologetics, right? It's not just that we're answering the questions that people have, which we want to do, but what I'm trying to do is to get people so enthusiastic about what it is that's true that they're willing to share it with others. Because if we don't do that, this is just becomes a faith that dies
Yeah,
in
it's
this
like, what are we?
generation.
Yeah, what are
Yeah,
we doing? Exactly. And I mean, that's the beauty about this book is it, like you said, it's a part where you can whet somebody's appetite and go, hey, check this out, check that light bulb, going off in your head.
yeah,
Now, go chase that thread,
that's right.
and you give them the resources to be able to go do that. And so I want to make another point on the whole science thing. I found a quote by Alfred North Whitehead. So if anybody knows him, pretty famous guy, I think mathematician or whatever. So he wrote Science in the Modern World, and he's not a Christian as far as my understanding of it goes, but he said this: when we compare this tone of thought in Europe with the attitude of other civilizations when left to themselves, there seems to be one source for its origin. It must come from the medieval insistence on the rationality of God,
Yeah,
conceived as the personal energy of Jehovah with the rationality of a Greek philosopher. So, he says, why is science like birthed out of this Christian worldview? It's because they understand that, or they think that God is a rational being, and so the world's going to be
that's
rational.
right. That's right. And and what preceded them was a pantheon of irrational, capricious, debaucherous pantheon of gods that was not only vile and would steal your wife if you turned your back on them and kill each other, that they were unpredictable. And so this idea of a singular, orderly, predictable God who creates an environment that he's actually detached from, he's distinct from. He's not detached. He's distinct from his environment. In other words, you won't. If your view is that the lightning is caused by Zeus, then there's no point in studying the cause of lightning from a natural perspective, because you think that Zeus is in every lightning bolt. But if you think that God is distinct from his creation, well, now you can start to study the attributes of God. Like, why would he create these? Why would he create this environment, this world the way it is? Does it tell us anything about the nature of God? But we're not attributing every violent act in nature to God. So that's the kind of thing that the Christian worldview did in the sciences. Also, there's a rich tradition of studying things physically, not just intellectually. Remember, science before it was called science was called natural philosophy, because we didn't have the ability to confirm empirically through observation the things we were thinking were true about the universe or thinking were true about microbiology. There was no microscope to look at the biology we were thinking about. But in the end, it was Christians who had a rich monastic tradition of getting their hands dirty, that had no problem cutting up cadavers and looking, and they didn't see matter as vile and unworthy of study to begin with. That's another view the ancients held. I got another chapter, part of the chapter where we talk about that, with comparing the other worldviews in which matter was in some ways denigrated, like it's not worthy of study, and based on a number of different ancients who felt this way. But Christianity comes in with a different view, and that's really what makes the difference in terms of why Christianity has the kind of power that ignites the sciences in a way that and from the science fathers, just the scientists who have changed the history of science, that have founded and fathered the major scientific disciplines, those folks also wrote about Jesus. And if you read their journals, and that was hard work to find the journals, to find out where online, for example, there's a university who still has the journals published of Kepler or whoever it may be, and to read what they wrote about Jesus. Well, the whole story of Jesus can be most robustly reconstructed, not from the church fathers in the first 300 years, but from 2,000 years of the science fathers. So you'd have to destroy the entire history of the science fathers in order to eliminate Jesus as a historical figure, because they wrote about him so often and why they were inspired by Jesus in their personal letters and in their journals. So you're not going to be able to destroy Jesus by simply destroying the New Testament. That's